What's Brian, guys? So in the final episode of this mini-series, I'll be taking a look at player growth without basically any player training used or anything like that. But so we'll be going straight and taking a look at how some players grew without any player training after a full season just simmed through. Onana, who grew tremendously, up 9 points in 2 seasons due to player training, is now just stagnant at a 77 overall. So you can kind of see how player training really just is really effective, especially for young goalkeepers, because young goalkeepers just do not grow at all without player training. It seems like, or if they do grow, it's maybe 1 or 2 points. It's nothing huge, unfortunately, but you can see some other growth of other players coming up. So again, I definitely recommend training young goalkeepers. Some other guys, Veltman, unfortunately, has not grown too much either, but he's still a very solid center back. So I obviously do not know his potential at the moment in FIFA 16. Riddervold, of course, I do. He did not grow much at all, except for mental stats. So he's pretty close to his full potential as well. So I think that may kind of have a part in it, essentially, because he's 21 years old and he's still very high ranked center back. Of course, there's a guy I tested specifically for that reason, because I didn't. He has a high potential, and like you see, Bazer, he's still kind of far off of his potential, so it's kind of sucks to see him only go up by 1 point, as he does have an 88 potential. Then Riddervold has an 86 potential as well. You'll see Gudelj finally gets a little bit of growth here after, I believe it was a year of not growing at all, so it's good to see for his case. But continue to see some slight improvements for some players, but unfortunately other players Riddervold was very close to he's very close to his potential, because he just has 86 potential. So I think that may have played a part in him. But El Ghazi, who would have grown, in my opinion, because of those additions to his mental stats, if it weren't for some decreases in his stats, in his physical and technical stats due to an injury. You can see Milik staying stagnant in his overall due here, unfortunately, as well. Some other players, Victor Fischer, who has really not grown much at all, unfortunately. I might have grown a point at best throughout these 3 years, but I've not seen much growth from him. But Van de Beek, you can see a lot of these young players still grow very nicely without player training. I've trained him as slightly throughout this series, but nothing too huge, not an entire season or anything like I have other players. He's grown very nicely all around in his physical stats, as you can see. So that's very promising, I have to say. See Cerny, who of course does have a high potential. I believe it's 86 potential. So he grew decent without that the player training, which we did train him entire season the last season. Sink Raven, of course, has been kind of disappointing with how little he's grown. Has had some injury problems as well as some other players. So injuries definitely can be quite crippling to a lot of young players. Zivkovic up to 75 now at the age of 21 as well. So see some of these other players I did not test, so I don't have a huge base on them, because I do not have their potential either, because they didn't make the, that hidden gems list, and Sophie was just out of sorts at the moment. I do not know what's going on that site. So Lucas Anderson is a very promising young player. See ball control. I don't think his rating is as high, his potential is as high this year, though, unfortunately. But either way, still looks to be very promising. See some other players on Ajax. So, just another thing I just want to reestablish. I definitely do think player training is very vital, as you can see coming down to these other players here. I think it really accelerates growth for a lot of players, especially younger players who have that huge disparity in young goalkeepers. I think it can be huge for young goalkeepers, especially because young goalkeepers in this game are just absolutely... I think it can be realistic at times, but other times it just does not make any sense how little they grow over the years, especially if it's a young goalkeeper. You have guys like De Gea who have been playing at a high level, who are elite top players. It shouldn't be that out of the realm to see a young goalkeeper, if you give him the chance to be able to establish himself into a top goalkeeper. So it's kind of my point of view on it, but of course that's another young goalkeepers. You take a look at that, and just my whole opinion on player training is definitely that is effective if you can do it the right way. I've seen other ways to go about it to make it extremely effective, but if you want to use any of those kind of tricks and tips, feel free to do so. But other than that, I'll be wrapping this up now, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Really enjoyed this quick mini series for you guys. I'll be signing out now, and I'll catch you guys later.